guy's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy. You know, this isn't necessary. You can just ride on.
Oh, my goodness. Good morning, good people and Eagle fans and 49er fans. As always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. I got Joe Boo in the house as well as Bucky Beaver here. Bucky getting it in. You know, I have to say, I've been playing a couple of clips, and I'm surprised they haven't been copywritten, from good old spaghetti westerns. You know, I've always been the guy who loved the good, the bad, and the ugly. In fact, years and years ago, I used to actually do the good and the bad and the ugly segment, and I got away from it. I got away from doing it. I don't know why I stopped doing it and stuff, because I would usually do that on Mondays. But those old westerns, man, as a kid growing up, man, those were everything. You know, when you started watching stuff like The Magnificent Seven, you know, High Plains Drifter, Outlaw Josie Wales, oh my God. Those were classics. So don't forget today that we have at 5 o'clock our channel call-in show. If you are a channel member, the link will be in the community tab, and it's kind of cool because we have this is what's crazy about this channel. Right now, as we sit here today, there are 138,563 of you guys out there. Thank each and every one of you guys for subscribing and being part of the channel. But the ones that have taken to a whole nother level, they're channel members. You don't expect to have Giants, Commanders, Eagle fans that are channel members that chime in, which is good because, you know, it gives you a perspective of what's going on around the division and things. And we've got a lot going on today, this weekend, because we've got, of course, we played the Jets, and I got to say that we need this win bad. We need this win bad. If we're going to try and have a season that's going to be, you know, better than what people advertise, you got to beat an 0-3 team. You just have to. And it's not going to be easy because we are truly beat the hell up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Our ass is hurting. So we've got that game, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. We got the Giants. And here's another reason why you got to also keep pace is because we don't want to be in the basement. We don't want to be in the basement. You got the New York Giants going against New Orleans. And I got to say that Kellen Moore is just bad as a head coach. Okay? That team is just bad. And that's where I think the Cowboys might want to think about trying to call up, say, I don't know, a DeMario Davis trade with New Orleans. We definitely need some help ourselves. And I'm sitting here saying that they're a bad team. We have yet to prove that we're a good team yet. It's been 3 weeks since we've had a win. Yeah, we got the tie. We've got the faith builder, of course, of being a lot better than what people thought we were going to be on offense and going toe for toe and not letting Micah Parsons embarrass us. But we got to get a win. And wow, so we got another, oh my God, are you kidding me? We got another 9 a.m. game tomorrow. Vikings and Browns. Oh, shit. Well, the Cowboys play at 1 against the Jets, so we've got that. Then we also have at 1. See, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy because the Giants are at 1 o'clock against New Orleans, and we got Philadelphia at 1 o'clock against Denver. So I'm going to be having a head on a swivel here. And that's a big one right there because you got Denver at 2-2, and you got the Eagles that are 4-0 that seem to be having all kinds of drama going on. And the Commanders play the Chargers. And the Chargers having that loss, and the Commanders having that loss, that's a huge game for the Commanders. So here's the thing. The Commanders, you can see them losing to the Chargers. Jalen Daniels is just getting back. Here's where it's crazy. We could end up being in the basement, or we could end up being second place in the division. That's how critical this week is. Seriously, you could literally see the Commanders losing to the Chargers. And if they do, they're 2-3. If we beat the Jets, we're 2-1. I'm sorry, we're 2-2-1. Half game ahead of the Commanders. Giants lose. Well, no, Giants win. We're half a game ahead of them. If the Giants, Washington win and we lose, we're in the basement. This game is critical because if you can't take care of some of the bottom dwellers where you are, then what chance do you have against the bigger ones? Now, the Cowboys always seem to play down to their competition and rise up for when they're playing good ones. I don't know what happened with the Bears, but when you looked at how they played against Green Bay and played against Philadelphia, they rose to the occasion. And both of those games could have very easily been a win if it weren't for our own mistakes. Now, this was kind of funny to me, okay? You know, Dak Prescott is like Father Time right now. Aaron Rodgers is the eldest statesman out there. But Dak Prescott, a lot of people are like, you got to move on. Dak is too old and everything else. This was amazing to me because it wasn't that long ago, back in the old days, when Micah Parsons used to actually do podcasts. And it's kind of funny that he no longer does podcasts in Green Bay. And I'm betting that when it gets cold in Green Bay and he doesn't have a podcast and you don't really want to go outside in the cold and the snow and everything else, that Micah Parsons is not going to be a happy camper. I'm betting that's the case. But when Micah Parsons had his podcast after an incredible rookie season, okay, C.J. Stroud, he was going through and he was saying that Dak Prescott's the top 5 quarterback, and he was saying he was a top 5 quarterback. Well, he's kind of come back down to earth. Do you look at C.J. Stroud right now and say he's a top 5 quarterback? I don't. What's funny is he talks about getting old. Listen to this.
Yeah, I think just the program that I was on with Clint, it was really good for me. I was in here really early, just trying to, take a step forward in my, being 23. I'm not fully in my grown man body all the way yet. I'm still growing every year, and I just think I gotta just continue to be hard on myself about not only just lifting weights but eating the right foods. That's been a big thing too. So yeah, that's just a thing where I think the explosiveness comes from being better with my diet, being better with stretching, and I feel like I'm getting old.
I feel like I'm getting old.
I'm not as quick as I used to be. I was watching my high school stuff a couple days ago. I was 180 and I was rolling. Well, not no more. But yeah, I try to just be better with that stuff so I can run fast. All right.
Is that crazy to you guys? To me, listening to him talk about at 23 how I'm not as fast as I used to be. I'm not quite in my grown man's body, but I'm definitely not as fast as I used to be, and I got to take care of. Somebody who doesn't seem to have that problem, who is 8 years to his elder, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is moving, rolling, he is hitting everything. And you know what it is in life? Here's the thing. I wish my elder self right now at 60 years old, I wish I could go back 40 years ago to when I was in college. I wish I could go through and tell myself, things I should be doing. Study, get that damn degree. Don't just sit there and party. Take those extra reps in practice, okay? Do that extra weightlifting, run that extra mile. You wish you had the knowledge when you had the skill, had the young body that was trainable. Unfortunately, you don't. And see, we're at the point where Dak Prescott, who has had some bad injuries, and let's be clear here, when you have catastrophic injuries, you can be back on the field, but you're not necessarily 100%. And your body having a surgery, it's trauma to the body, and it literally takes a year or more sometimes to get back. And we've learned this from seeing guys coming back from ACLs. Please tell me, other than Adrian Peterson, Where have you seen guys coming back 100% within a year from an ACL? And see, here's where the problem is you don't trust it. Your body's still healing. It's still not the same as it was before. And it's just not there. Dak is now several years away from, well, actually the hamstring last year, but the hamstring's not the same as breaking your ankle. But he has reinvented his body. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. He has dedicated to making his body as good as it can be. But now he's got the knowledge and experience and a coach that understands all that. And that's why you see him doing well with the weapons that he has. This has become the perfect storm for the Dallas Cowboys offense. You got two legitimate number ones, okay? If our offensive line is healthy, it's not a bad offensive line. Right now we're missing 3 guys, or actually 4 guys this game, 4 starters. But we actually had some depth. You got a legitimate head-banging running back who can get you the tough yards. You got a tight end who can make those hard catches. Now, I'd like to see more than 6 yards per reception, but you've got the perfect storm for the Cowboys offense. And you got Dak Prescott, who has experience. He's got the mind of that elder statesman, but he still has a body that is actually still able to function. And we've seen him already this year being able to run when needed to, move around the pocket, and having the arm that's hitting tight windows. You know, he's got the touch and he's got the rocket. And this is the perfect storm for the Cowboys. Now, the craziest thing is with Brian Schottenheimer, even though we're 1-2-1, there doesn't seem to be panic in the Dallas Cowboys. And there seems to be accountability for the Cowboys, you know, with the whole Diggs. And Diggs is one of the elder statesmen that are on the team. He's one of the higher paid players on the team and a player who's been successful. He's unable to run the asylum. It is Brian Schottenheimer that's making the calls. Now, we'll wait and see if the calls are the right calls or not. We'll find that out over time. But the players are being accountable to their actions. And I love the fact that that seems to be the case, that Brian Schottenheimer seemingly has more control over the players than what is typical of a Jerry Jones-owned team. Because it used to seem like the players could bypass the coach and basically go to Jerry Jones and get what they wanted. Doesn't seem to be the case right now. The crazy thing is the Eagles, who are currently 4-0. They're 4-0. But to me, it just almost feels like they are just a powder keg waiting to explode. I don't know how they're winning. Their franchise running back is averaging a career low 3.1 yards a carry. Their team literally did not complete a pass the second half of the game last week. You got now A.J. Brown, who seemingly isn't happy with the system. He's saying the right things after, kind of saying the wrong things, but you feel like it's a powder keg. And I want to, because we got so many, you know, you Eagle fans are like cockroaches here. You know, you're like cockroaches. You're literally coming out the plugs in the wall and shit, okay? So I need to talk about you guys just because you're here. Let's go to the tape.
I don't think it's a bad thing for one. The ball is not just for targets or anything to put numbers up, but no, I see that we're struggling, and I'm a guy that wants the ball in those times when we can't find a way. Give it to me. Like when the game's on the line, give the ball to me. I want that. I want that pressure. I put it on myself, and I work hard for it. Unfortunately, I did it to myself, I won't even say unfortunately, I did it to myself. But this is my home, man. I love it here, But you just see frustration because obviously, we want to be great, and most definitely, I want to be great as well.
Okay, really interesting. And the entirety of what he said yesterday was worth hearing. He's such an interesting person. Sal described him as an introspective person the other day. And I think listening to that conversation, I got that feeling. I thought you summed him up really well.
Yeah, I don't think A.J. Brown is selfish at all. I think he might be the most selfless receiver in the National Football League. Because, listen, I can make an argument that he is the most talented wide receiver in the NFL. I can literally make that argument. He's ranked 49th right now in yards against every receiver in the league. Think about that. Think about the discrepancy between where his talent is and where his production is. Now, yes, it is about winning, absolutely. But there can be shared prosperity, right? If you are playing left tackle for the Titans and they are going 16-0 without you out there and you think that you can help the run game, you think you're a better option as a competitor, as an independent contractor who puts all their time into being the best you can be, you want that kind of spirit. You want a receiver that wants the ball. You do not want a receiver that doesn't think they can affect the outcome. So I think both of these things can be true because their passing game is struggling. He thinks he's a solution, and I couldn't agree more.
Dan, show us. What's going on?
I think, one, Jalen Hurts has become an incredibly risk-averse quarterback over the last year and a half. Then two, AJ's not getting open a ton. It's never really been his game. So he's got an outside release go route to the top. I would tell you here, he's even with the receiver, so justify giving your guy a chance. Jalen doesn't really subscribe to that. That ball's going 3-4 yards out of bounds. Bottom of the screen, double move. Now, when he makes that double move, that corner's going to be playing on top. I would say, hey, another opportunity for a back shoulder. Look where this ball lands. This ball lands out of the white. We would call that a pizza ball, 3 or 4 yards out of bounds. Another deep shot opportunity where AJ's not necessarily separating. There's not a lot of clarity of give that guy the throw. But Jalen Hurts launches this one out of bounds, and I think it's just because this. He's become incredibly cautious with the football, and in many ways that's been a benefit. Okay, like that's won them football games. And I don't want to sit here and tell them you got to change. I do know this. There's the reality where AJ's not getting open. Again, not been a ton of what his game has been. I think he's been asked to run the most basic high school elementary routes out of any receiver in the NFL. If you ask me what his route tree looked like, I would say this. Mm-hmm. It's really just like go routes and hitch routes and an occasional slant. So there's not much variance to his routes, and then Jalen's just not giving those 50-50 opportunity throws.
Here's the thing I can't make up my mind. Because we sit here, we dissect the Eagles like they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Not only are they 4-0, but they're the defending Super Bowl champs, right, and they've won 20 of their last 21 games.
Yeah, you get yourself in trouble with that, though.
Yeah, know, exactly. But there's also a part of me that says they still find ways to win, whether they're utilizing each of their pieces at its maximum or not.
They're finding ways to win, however, they're one-dimensional in how they're winning those games. And if you're coaching the result, then yeah, they're 4-0, there's nothing to talk about. But if we're talking about the process, like being able to play with a guy like A.J. Brown, I played with him, and I remember his rookie season, he was in search for 1,000 yards. And I remember we were at Houston, he got that, and he came up to me emotionally and was like, hey, I got it. And so it's so important from yeah, I say it like that, it's kind of crazy. But like, he came up to me and he was emotional about like, I got 1,000 yards. And basically, he checked out the box that I could play in the NFL. And so this guy, he's competitive, he wants to be great, he wants to elevate his team, because I think if we're talking about it, they definitely know foundationally they're not holding it together as much as they possibly could.
This is how I love my A.J. Brown this way. This is how I love A.J. Brown. This is what makes him great. I had the honor of being a teammate of his. I felt like I was invited to the cookout because we had this. You
weren't.
We called it the room, Hawk. Stick with me.
Okay, all right.
We called it the room. Every night before a game, we'd be up in a hotel room, and shout out the boys, Daquan Jones, Harold Landry, and Darren Bates. And it'd be A.J. Brown. We'd all be sitting there, and he'd have the same edge, the same chip on his shoulder if old Ryan Tannehill wasn't giving him the ball. Now he's in a spot here in Philly. He's the same way. This is what makes him great. This is an apex predator.
On Get Up, Adam Schefter.
Okay.
Let's run the hurry up. A lot of quarterbacks.
Let's not run the hurry up. So it's, to me, let there be like just a bad game. Let there be that, all of a sudden Denver starts mollywopping them and the offense doesn't perform. I think that is a powder keg that is just waiting to explode. Now, the Cowboys, listen, do we have the talent on defense that everybody? No, we don't. And there's so many things that you can point to at the Cowboys right now on reasons why the defense is bad. Again, like I pointed out about the knee injuries, okay? Sam Williams is coming back from knee injury where he's been out of football for a year, and he is still trying to find his way. You're seeing so many times that he's trying to go inside instead of keeping his spot on the outside. He'd have a couple more sacks if he was just making sure he understood his assignment, because you see him all of a sudden trying to cross the guy's face, and now there's a wide open lane on the outside, and giving the quarterback time to be able to get out of the pocket and look deep without any other pressure coming. Those little mistakes are adding up for the Cowboys and really, really hurting them. You can look at the lack of pressure coming from the other side. Donovan Easy, he's still a rookie, and we're expecting him to come out the box to do stuff. We were waiting for Marshawn Nealon to be DeMarcus Lawrence. And we got injuries, another knee injury coming back, a second knee injury with Diggs, and then you get Deron Bland hurt. And you got a whole new defensive coordinator. You got new linebackers, and we're waiting on Overshown. So you've got a lack of personnel. You've got guys coming back from injuries. You got a lack of experience, and you have a new defensive coordinator. And will this defense get better as time goes on? I think they will, but it's still going to take time. You have to understand, going full speed as a unit, there's only been 4 games. That's like preseason. And some of your guys have still been nicked up and still coming back into the lineup. I still believe you need to go ahead and make a couple of moves to help solidify it. You're actually pretty good at stopping the run. Your linebacking core is not good. Overshown coming back, if he is 100% healthy, will definitely help. But we'll see how it all goes in. So as we roll out of here, this is actually from a couple of days ago, but Rich Eisen, where he's looking at the Cowboys game not as a tie, not as a loss, but actually as a win. And we want to actually feel at least a little bit better for ourselves. I don't know how many victories we have, but I want to enjoy the ones that we do.
Let's talk about the Cowboys and the Packers on Sunday Night Football. 40-40 tie, by the way.
ESPN on the screen.
Yeah, they played to, I guess, it was a scoregami. We've never seen that final score in the history of the National Football League. We've never seen a 40-40 tie before. I guess 40-40 is
Jay-Z's club.
Well, I guess it's Jay-Z's club, right? 40 homers, 40 stolen bases.
Shout out Jose Canseco.
That's the score, the deuce score in tennis.
Right.
It did involve a love last night too, right?
Come on now.
Listen. I don't know where the banner raise is for a 40-40 tie, but the Cowboys certainly played very well last night. No CeeDee Lamb, no Micah Parsons because he's playing for the other team, in case you didn't know. And they took care of Micah Parsons last night. Just 1 sack. It was a pretty big one. And 1 solo tackle, 2 assisted tackles, and that was it. A lot of holding penalties that weren't called, but Cowboys fans know that that's what Micah gets quite a bit.
Yeah.
And this game looked over. 13-0. Line up for an extra point. Yada, yada, yada. It's 13-2. Brewers on top of the Rangers. and the Cowboys were awakened by that special teams play. As many teams throughout the NFL through 4 weeks have either been A, awakened by one, B, put to sleep by one, or C, just shocking the entire football viewing nation with a blocked kick of some sort, blocked punt. Special teams have yet to end, or at least block units on special teams have yet to enter the 2025 season in certain places. And let's take it one at a time here. Man, did the Cowboys need this one. They needed it because they're 1-2. They're coming off of that loss in which they lose CeeDee Lamb to a high ankle sprain on a running play where you, TJ Jefferson, were wondering what the hell were they doing in a running play here in Chicago with him, I guess, being a jack of all trades. Can we just put him in the slot or put him outside the numbers and let him go to work?
What are we doing?
And so when it's 13-0, I think this thing's a wrap. And it most certainly was not, as, you know, Dak was getting it done on offense, and Dak had 319 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns and a passer rating almost of 125. And the last quarterback in Dallas history with 300 or more passing yards, 3 or better passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown, which he had in this game. There's now a list of such a person. Dak Prescott. That's first of its kind last night. That's what Dak came up with in the so-called revenge game. That is what a leader does, with no CeeDee Lamb on top of it. And here's George Pickens having his breakout game as a Dallas Cowboy. 11 targets, 8 catches, 134 yards, and 2 scores. A lot of Steelers fans are sitting there saying that would be very helpful right around now, but hey, you're 3-1. with a win in Dublin.
They are.
Which we'll get to in this 3-hour program. Jake Ferguson had his first touchdown catch since the 2023 wild card loss to the Packers. He had 3 receiving touchdowns in that game. A lot of Cowboys fans don't remember that because of the final score was such a washout. I mean, Javonte Williams has got the running game going, and Brian Schottenheimer's a good coach, man. I mean, I think that's what this game has proven as well. I understand that there's 2 losses that stick out, and the one against Chicago is one that particularly hurts, as the, Cowboys came awfully close in Philadelphia and came up with that comeback win on the Giants and Russell Wilson in that 450-yard game from him. Cowboys are all over the map, which, by the way, a 500 team looks like. All over the map if they were only 500 through the first 4 games of this season. They and the Packers are now winless in their last 2. They're like a hockey squad. And so awfully close. Could have used, because for them to say, we traded Micah, for Jerry Jones to be able to say, we traded Micah, and guess what? We bottled him up, and Dak's the guy, and we won anyway, would have been so sweet for, obviously, the owner's suite and for the Cowboys as a whole. But wasn't meant to be, just a tie. And as for the Packers, they now, as we start, as always, here on this program about what we just saw and what it means down the road and what I think happened before we get to the nitty and the gritty of the Micah-Jerry Jones relationship. What the Packers just did last night is potentially forfeit a down-the-road possible sweep tiebreak over the Lions. Now, if they sweep the Lions by beating them on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit, which we know they can do because they, have done it. And so you'd think if they sweep the Lions, they're playing well enough to have a better record than the Lions. But this tie really sticks out, not just in the standings, but right now. Had Green Bay won this game and said, we did become a better team with Micah Parsons. We did make the right move, and down the road, that may be proven correct in the same way that the Cowboys can be proven correct that they don't miss Micah and they can use the salary cap space and the draft choices they're getting from it to improve.
There you go.
And these are all just, as you know, week-to-week snapshots. But Green Bay, had they won this game, would be in first place in the NFC North due to their Week 1 win over the Lions, who have won every single game since losing in Green Bay. Badly, I might add. They're now a half game behind Detroit. That said, Jordan Love, in the same way that Dak performed admirably and well and valiantly in a rivalry game. 337 pass yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He's now 10-0-1 in a starter where he's had a passer rating of 115 or better, as he had last night, 118.1. His 337 pass yards and 3 passing touchdowns were a season high. Romeo Doubs had all 3 touchdown catches. Matthew Golden is getting better. Jordan Love has a running attack behind him. And Tucker Kraft is becoming a viable tight end threat in this league. And the offensive line, despite the injuries, does appear to be able to keep Love upright and the running game cooking. So the Packers, definitely in the last 2 games, in Cleveland and in Dallas, didn't look like the team we saw in Green Bay to start the season against the Lions and the Commanders. 2-1-1 is good enough. It's not great. Certainly not when you started 2-0. But they do have all of these young folks on offense who are, without a doubt, available on your waiver wire in fantasy, most of them, that Love knows very well and knows the system very well. And he just keeps on finding all of these players who you're sitting at home going, who is that? Who's that one burning for a first down? Who's that one making that catch?
All right. No, I don't want to hear more love for the Packers, but As always, good people, I appreciate y'all. And we'll be starting early tomorrow. So now I got to figure out what am I cooking for game day because it's 1 o'clock. It's early. So I'll be in the kitchen. Yeah, I'll be in the kitchen. All right. Peace out.
Can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
Yourself.